Hello and welcome to a new Vanguard Zero video, and I am so excited for this one. Basically, I managed to come up with, on accident, a viable, maybe viable, way of actually countering Majesty Lord Blaster. Now, I don't know how well known this is, but basically the gist is I did this on accident, and so immediately I went back and edited my deck to try it again, and this is the recording of me trying it again, and I'll walk you through the process. Basically, the theory I have is that Stil Vampir can counter Majesty Lord Blaster. Okay, so what do I mean by this? Stil Vampir is a grade 3 Dark Irregular unit, and it is pretty infamous for being a meme card. Now, why is it a meme card? Because it can counter, it can megablast even, to replace the opponent's Vanguard with one of their rare guards, with that Vanguard now being in its soul. And then you can just, go to town on its rare guard, and then on the beginning of your opponent's next turn, they will ride a card that was in their soul on the Vanguard, basically, right? It's a little bit difficult to explain, but once you see it in action, you'll understand how it works. Basically, Majesty Lord Blaster, by having a Blaster Blade and a Blaster Dark on the field, you can basically absorb them and send them to your soul to activate Majesty Lord Blaster's ability, which gives them more power, but more importantly, an extra crit. Did you know, and this is the thing I found out on accident, did you know that if you use Stil Vampir's Megablast on Majesty Lord Blaster to send him to your opponent's Vanguard soul and put one of their rare guards on top of it, that on their next turn when they end up riding their Majesty Lord Blaster from their soul back onto their Vanguard again, they lose their crit. That extra crit that Majesty Lord Blaster gets, the thing that makes him such a good card, it loses it. Stil Vampir, a card that was once a meme card, and still is a meme card, a card that's not actually good, its just ability is so absurd that it's never actually that useful. Well, guess what? It's kind of useful now. Okay, so why isn't it useful usually? Well, because it's a Mega Blast, which is really, really expensive. If you are using a Mega Blast, that basically means you need to go the entire card fight without counterblasting very much. I think in this one, I counterblasted once, and that was it. And then you also need to build up a lot of soul. Now, building up soul isn't too much of a problem, because this is Dark Irregulars. Dark Irregulars can build up soul like it's nobody's business. That's not too big a problem. But the problem is that you're using a lot of resources, you're counterblasting and you're soul blasting a lot of cards to activate an ability that, yes, makes the opponent's Vanguard weaker, but it makes their opponent's Vanguard weaker for one turn. And so basically with Stil Vampir, you're betting everything, you're hedging your bets that you can end them that turn. That you can, by making your opponent's Vanguard weaker, you can get enough attacks in to win, because after that turn, when it goes to your opponent's turn again, well, they basically undo it by riding their original Vanguard from their soul anyway. But the thing that makes it now suddenly somewhat playable, not the best card in the world, I certainly don't recommend it, I don't know, this is something that needs a lot more testing, I guess. But what now makes it playable, I guess, is that it takes away Majesty Lord Blaster's crit. And in order to get that crit back again, you need to, do it the difficult way, by getting out another Blaster Blade and another Blaster Dark and absorbing those into the soul again. Now the thing is, it doesn't undo the power. See, Majesty Lord Blaster's power goes up when it has those cards in its soul, and those cards stay in its soul. It's the act of putting it in its soul that gives it the crit, and that crit wears off once it itself goes in the soul. And I wanted to test this. Basically, I was, doing the usual ranked mode grinding, and I went against Majesty Lord Blaster deck, ran out of options, didn't really have the best hand in the world. I thought, whatever, may as well go for Stil Vampir's effect, because I still have him in my deck because he's a bit of a meme card. And I use this ability, And it worked. I got rid of Majesty Lord Blaster's crit, and I was like, wait, you can do that? And my opponent seemed very visibly confused too. And I was like, alright, let's try this again then. I'm going to take my deck, I'm going to take a handful of grade 3s out to put a full playset of Stil Vampir, because I usually only run one copy of him. I usually only run one copy of him, rather than a playset. And I was like, okay, fine, let's run a playset. Let's go ranked mode until we run into a Majesty Lord Blaster, which isn't going to take very long because he's a Majesty Lord Blaster, and it didn't take very long. And this was the first one I ran into. And I was like, alright, let's try it. Let's Stil Vampir him. And not to spoil anything, but I actually think this is a good strategy. Now, is it the best strategy? No, because the only deck this strategy works against is Majesty Lord Blaster. For example, cards like Perfect Riser, which Perfect Riser is a very similar card to Majesty Lord Blaster. Perfect Riser doesn't really lose his crit because he gains his crit based on how many risers he has in his soul, and Stil Vampir doesn't change what cards are in your soul necessarily, right? You know, those risers stay in your soul, so it keeps its crit. Majesty Lord Blaster, what makes him such a unique card is the act of placing out a Blaster Dark and a Blaster Blade to gain that crit. And basically Stil Vampir forces you to do that again. Because Majesty Lord Blaster, whilst being an amazing card, he only really works if you can do that, if you can pull that off, right? If you can get out a Blaster Blade and a Blaster Dark. What makes the deck so overpowered is the fact that Wingull Brave basically guarantees you the ability to do that for almost zero cost. Almost zero cost. Not actually zero, but almost. But what if you made them do that, right? And then you took it away from them? And because originally, up until this point, my strategy dealing with Majesty Lord Blaster was to just hope that you get a lot of perfect guards in your hand so you can just tank the hits. And here we go, sending out Stil Vampir. And this is where things get interesting. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to megablast, and we're going to send his grade 1 out onto his Vanguard, which then sends Majesty Lord Blaster to his soul. And we're going to send out Seeger, and we're going to send out a grade 1 unit. I take a sec here to choose to weigh up my options, but I decided to put it there. And at this point, I can't even use Rose's ability anymore, because that's how long this has kind of drawn out for. So I get an attack in, no trigger. I get another attack in, and it's pretty obvious that card in his hand is gonna be a perfect guard, right? But that's fine, because, well, you know, I can afford that. And it's at this moment I realize that I've won. I have beaten Majesty Lord Blaster. And simple as that, Majesty Lord Blaster, and I didn't record my audio in the moment because I didn't expect this to work first time, and so I just kind of was going to keep recording until I got one that this worked against. But not only did this work, it worked, if anything, too effectively, because the whole point of the strategy was that if he could survive this turn, when he does get Majesty Lord Blaster out, it would still, like, he would lose the crit and he wouldn't really be able to do much. When in actuality, well, it turns out he used up so many resources getting out Majesty Lord Blaster and everything in the first place that it didn't matter, and I could just beat him anyway. So if anything, I beat him too effectively. And yeah, is this actually a consistent strategy that will work? Well, even if it does work against Majesty Lord Blaster, the problem is it's not going to work against any other deck. It's too specific and too situational, but the thing that makes it interesting and worthwhile to look into in the first place is the fact that Majesty Lord Blaster is currently the best deck in the game. And so any counter to the best deck in the game is a counter that's worth looking into. And I'm kind of happy that I've managed to discover this. Now, has anyone else managed to discover this before me? Maybe. I don't know. This is a complete accident on my end. Chances are someone else probably has already found out about this, but I thought it was worth pointing out and kind of showing off. I think this is something worth looking into, and I may not have shown it because, of course, I didn't actually record my live commentary over that, but yeah, I was pretty visibly shocked that I actually managed to win there. Yeah. But anyway, that's just a quick look at my Stil Vampir deck and how it could potentially counter MLB. Is it the best deck in the world? No. Is it gonna beat Majesty Lord Blaster? Maybe. Again, he's a meme card. I need to stress that. He's very much a meme card. He's not that great. But in this one specific scenario, maybe he is great. I don't know. Anyway, let me know what you think. And I'll see you later with some more Vanguard Zero videos. Basically, remember to subscribe if you like this and like the video and so on and so forth. And I'll see you later.